All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are pulling back the curtain on the hidden history of computer viruses. And let me tell you, it's a story that is way more surprising and, yeah, a lot more human than you probably imagine.
So where do you think a story like this starts? You might be picturing criminals in some dark room, or maybe even spies. But nope, the real beginning is something way more basic. Just pure, simple curiosity.
Okay, so let's set the stage. I want you to picture the very early days of networked computing. We're talking way before the internet as we know it. It was kind of like the digital Wild West, a real age of innocence, you could say. And get this, the very first self-replicating program, what we kind of call a virus today, it wasn't malicious at all. It was this thing called Creeper, and it was just an experiment, a proof of concept, really. The guy who made it just wanted to see, hey, can a piece of code actually move between computers all by itself? And you know what it did when it got there? It just flashed this goofy little message on the screen. I'm the Creeper, catch me if you can. And right there, that's the moment the whole cat-and-mouse game of cybersecurity was born. I mean, the instant Creeper existed, someone created another program called Reaper, and its only job was to hunt down and delete Creeper. That back and forth, that constant struggle, it's the same dynamic that pretty much defines the entire industry, even today.
But, like with any new frontier, that age of innocence, well, it couldn't last forever. And pretty soon, that playful mischief started turning into something with, let's say, a little more of an edge.
And wow, when you look at how things evolved, it happened fast. I mean, in just a little over a decade, we go from the harmless Creeper to something called Elk Cloner. This thing was spreading on floppy disks and just bugging Apple II users with a silly poem. But then, by 1986, you get the brain virus on IBM PCs and, yeah, the whole vibe changed. This wasn't just a prank anymore. This was about deliberately messing things up. So what was driving these folks? You gotta remember, this wasn't about money. It wasn't organized crime or anything like that. It was this whole subculture of hackers who were basically driven by ego. They wanted to be known, They wanted to show off their coding skills to their friends and rivals.
And then, the internet arrived. And that changed everything. What used to be a small-time hobbyist problem was about to go global, and it was going to do it with a vengeance.
This brand new era brought a totally new kind of threat with it, the worm. Now, a worm is different from a virus. It was a master at spreading itself. It didn't need a person to do anything. It could just crawl across networks all on its own.
So what's the real difference? Well, think of it this way. A virus is kind of like a contaminated file. You have to click on it or open it for it to do its damage. But a worm is more like a ghost in the machine. It can just move from computer to computer all by itself, no human help needed.
Now, the truly clever and terrifying part of these new threats was how they weaponized the very tools we use to communicate. I'm talking about viruses like Melissa and, of course, the infamous I Love You virus. They just hijacked our email and spread like absolute wildfire. We're talking around the globe in a matter of hours.
And the damage, it was just catastrophic. For the very first time, a few lines of code caused massive, real-world economic pain. The I Love You virus alone, it's estimated to have cost the global economy something like $10 billion. That was the turning point. Right as the internet was becoming a place for business, the crime followed. The motivation wasn't just ego anymore. This was about causing chaos on an industrial scale.
And that brings us to the dawn of a totally new era. Malicious code, it wasn't just for pranks anymore. It wasn't even just for financial crime. It had become a weapon. And then, Stuxnet happened. This was a complete game changer. This thing wasn't designed to steal your credit card number or let some hacker show off, no. This was a cyber weapon. A piece of incredibly sophisticated malware widely believed to have been created by a nation-state. And it had one goal: to cause actual, physical destruction in the real world by messing with industrial equipment.
And this distinction is absolutely crucial. You've got cybercrime, which is all about making money. And then you have cyber warfare, which is about one thing: power. One is coming for your wallet. The other is coming for a country's power grid, its water supply, the very foundations of its infrastructure. And the players are different too. Cybercrime is run by, well, criminals. Cyber warfare is sponsored by nations.
So that brings us to today. Where are we now? Well, we are smack in the middle of a digital arms race that never ends. And this battle for our digital future, it's not some science fiction movie plot. It is happening right now, all around us, on a global scale. But hey, it's not all doom and gloom. The good news is we're fighting back, and we're using some seriously impressive tech to do it. We're now using artificial intelligence to spot and shut down threats faster than any human ever could. You can almost think of it like a digital immune system for our networks, one that's constantly learning and adapting to whatever new threat comes along.
But here's the real kicker, the big irony in all of this. For all that incredible advanced technology we just talked about, the single biggest weakness in our digital defenses is still the exact same thing it was from day one. Us, people, social engineering. You know, the art of tricking someone into giving up their password or clicking a bad link? That is still the #1 way attackers get in.
And so that leaves us with a really big, kind of unsettling question. When you trace the line from the innocent curiosity of Creeper all the way to the raw destructive power of Stuxnet, you realize we've unleashed a totally new kind of weapon on the world. So, in a world where a few lines of code can cross any border, can cause unbelievable damage, where do we draw the line? That's the question we're all wrestling with right now. And honestly, the entire future of our digital world kind of depends on how we answer it.